Hello, YouTubers. Well, you can see what a vain young man I was, and how my vanity had led me to choose the Navy as my preferred option for the time that I was to serve in the forces. I don't suppose I was any different from most young men of then and now, and I guess if YouTube were available then, that probably I'd be flirting with the camera with the rest of you. But the envelope arrived telling me that I should report to HMS Collingwood, and oh God, I thought, right, well, my vanity has come to haunt me, and I was to go to His Majesty's ship Collingwood. Well, of course, the war was either over or nearly over in Europe by now, but since ships float on the sea, I could be sent anywhere, and I was quite scared. And but HMS Collingwood turned out to be a land-based establishment that had been requisitioned by the forces from what was previously a holiday camp. The holiday camp with rows and rows of wooden chalets as they had in those days. And the first initiation into the forces was pretty poor. It looked like a concentration camp to me. It was dilapidated, the windows were broken, there were no lights inside, and inside the chalet were two iron constructed bunks, and we were sent to get our mattresses, which were very thin palliasse straw-filled mattresses, and one coarse blanket, and that was where we were to spend our first night. And if ever you needed your teddy bear, that was the time. So it wasn't a very nice introduction, but I suppose this umbilical cord between boy and man has to be broken, and the quicker you do it, the better. And so that was our introduction. And although it was called His Majesty's ship, it was run as though it were a ship, so there were all sorts of crazy things that I didn't understand. There were bells that rang every 4 hours, I believe, that was supposed to tell you the time, and they simulated the watches that would be taken if you really were aboard a proper ship, and if you needed to go outside the camp, you had to apply for shore leave, and not that we were allowed to go out, but all the silly sort of things and all the new names that we had to get used to. Bathrooms and washrooms were called heads, and cookhouses were called galleys, and it was all very, very strange, and as you can imagine. And I suppose I could think of some chronological order of things that happened and the times in which they happened, but I really only just have a few vague memories of the things that happened to me, and there are, of course, many. And one of them was rather a silly thing, I thought. The water supplies to the well, everywhere, I suppose, was from a large tank which was on the top of a tall tower, and we were made to walk up this tower very scantily dressed in sort of was swimming trunks, I suppose, but they were more like thongs than anything else, and we were just told to jump into this cold water. Goodness knows what that was all about. I suppose if you didn't come up, then they didn't need you. But there was one building which was run by an association called the NAFI, Naval, Army and Air Force, something or other, where you could buy things if you'd got any money, although you didn't have much, because I think, if I remember rightly, we were paid 14 shillings per week, which is about 70 pence in today's money, and less than $1, so you couldn't buy very much, but at least it was warm and it did have light in it, and that is where we all congregated in what free time we had. And I don't know, I'm sure you've all had these feelings of being surrounded by people but being absolutely alone and miserable. And if ever I were to hear Glenn Miller playing Perfidia again, I'm sure I would get the shivers. I hope I never have to hear that again. But we all survived, and when there's a large group of you, you can survive things easier than if you are absolutely on your own and your whole life is controlled for you, and you do, of course, just do as you are told, and naturally we all did. We moved on from there, I think, very quickly, because this was only sort of the initial initiation camp, and where you moved to depended upon some sort of intelligence test. And being a good boy, I probably rather foolishly answered the questions to the best of my ability, like what would be the next number in the sequence 1357, or what if you were shown a flat shape with marks on it, what would it fold up into? Would it be a box or a pentagon or something like that? So they decided that I had got an intelligence, an IQ above 10, I suppose, and I was subsequently sent to another place, once again a so-called ship, which was a land-based establishment, which I think was called HMS Raleigh, and there I did training after the initial sort of marching and all the rest of the things that you have to do to be a radar mechanic. So I see I've gone on quite long enough, so I'll stop there, and I will say goodbye with the easy button, which is just an in-joke between some of my particular friends. So until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.